guys, it's me again, Sarah Graham. I am here to do another movies, monsters, and makeup review. So what I do is I discuss a horror movie that I recently rewatched, and I do my makeup while I talk about the movie. If you like this sort of thing, please subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share. Do all those things that you need to do, okay? So today, the movie I will be talking about is When a Stranger Calls Back. So it is a sequel to the 1979 or 78 movie When a Stranger Calls. They have some similarities, but they also have some differences. You'll see some returning characters in this part 2, which is kind of weird, but just let me get into it. So usually I try to list everything that I use in the description box, but sometimes it takes a while for these videos to come out and I lose all like my information of the stuff I use. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys as I use it, because yeah, I seem to have a hard time remembering or writing it down, or so I want to let you guys know the stuff I'm using. I cleanse my face with a normal cleanser, and after that I use, can you see that? No? Okay, well, this is Bobbi Brown's vitamin enriched face base, so I use that as a moisturizer, and I use the eye cream as, of course, for under my eyes. Keeps it really moisturized, hydrated, and I absolutely love it. It's a big investment, but I think it's totally worth it. So When a Stranger Calls Back, it's a 1993 movie. I probably saw it around, I don't know, could be 93, could be a little later. I don't really remember, but I was small. I was like a young child. So let me use my little flat clips and pull my hair back. I attempted to crimp my hair, but it's not really that crimpy right now, and I just did it. Oh well, but it's kind of big and poofy, and I like that. So before I put anything on my face, any more on my face, I'm going to use my Milk Makeup Blur Stick. Love this stuff. It keeps it nice and mattified. So the movie starts with a high schooler named Julia. Julia is going to babysit for a doctor and his wife while they go out on a date. She's babysat for them before, but I wouldn't say it's been a while, but she still knew like the people and she knew the house and stuff. So Julia gets dropped off. As Julia approaches the door, the doctor opens it and he says like the doorbell doesn't work. Doesn't really have any relevance, but I'm just saying. When she arrived inside the house, the doctor's wife let her know that the kids were already asleep and they should be back home around 11:30, possibly a little later. I think they said they'll call her. They left the number to where they're going to be at on the fridge. So, you know, just remember that. They left the number where they're going to be at on the fridge. The house that she is babysitting at is like a big 2-story house. It's kind of like darkly dark. There's not a lot of lights on. How about that? So she goes upstairs to check on the children. The children are sound asleep in bed. I'm guessing they're twins or siblings. Well, obviously they're siblings, but anyways, they share a room. So both kids are nice and tucked into their bed. As time goes by, Julia's downstairs watching some MTV, and she decides to do a little, turn off the TV and do a little homework. As she's doing her homework, she gets a phone call. She answers it as usual, as normal, and nobody's on the other end. Nobody answers. So she's just saying like, you have the wrong number, even though there's nobody else talking on the other side of the line. She just says, you have the wrong number, and hangs up, continues to do her homework. As she's doing her homework, there's a knock on the door. Normally it's a little like weary to get a knock on the door. It's not your house, you're babysitting. It's already nighttime, so it's kind of like, who could this be? So she goes to the door. She doesn't open it. It's locked. The door's locked. On the other end is a man claiming that his car broke down and he wants to come in and use the phone. And that's a big no. Like, oh sure, come in, use this phone. Your car broke down. What could happen? You seem like a nice person. Even though this was 93, it's still no. Maybe if it was back in the 60s, 70s, maybe early 80s, that could have been a normal thing to do. I watch a lot of true crime, and You know, there's a lot of nice people out there that would let somebody in to use the phone, but this was not one of those times. So Julia is like, I can't do that. I'm sorry, but I can call the auto club for you. So she gets all that guy's information. He's still kind of insisting, like, no, I don't want to bug you. I don't want to trouble you. I can call. And she's like, no, it's no trouble. Just, you know, let me write down all the information. So she gets like a pad of paper and she writes down all the information. She's like, okay, let me go call. I'll be right back. So as Julia goes to make the phone call, she picks up the phone and there's no dial tone. That's weird because she just got a phone call not too long ago. So the phone was working, but now it's not. So that makes Julia kind of worried because, I mean, there's a stranger at the door. Now there's no phone. So if something happens, there's no way to get a hold of anyone. So she can't let this man that's outside know that the phone's not working. That's a big no-no. Julia just kind of acts like she's like she called and goes back to the door and tells the man that she called the auto club and they said they should be there in about an hour. Once she told the man that it was going to be about an hour, he starts saying, an hour? Usually they say they'll be there within 30 minutes. So she's kind of like, it kind of caught me in a lie, sort of. So she just kind of plays it off really smart and says, well, it must be a busy night, so, you know, what can I tell you? So the guy's like, oh, okay, well, thanks anyways, or thanks for calling. And you hear footsteps, you know, walking away, and she goes to the living room and can see, like, not the shadow, but like the back of the man's head kind of walking towards the sidewalk and walking away. So it's like, good. And you see him leave. After that, Julia goes to another room to check that phone in there to see, you know, are the phone lines completely out? And yeah, same thing in that room. The phone isn't working. So that's kind of scary. One, you're alone in a house that isn't yours and you're babysitting. So you have to, you know, be caring or looking out for these children, and there's no, you know, you can't leave. I don't know, I'd be freaking out for sure. I don't thank goodness for cell phones. Nobody could just kind of cut the line and you have no contact. So thank goodness we live in this day and age where there's cell phones. Anyways, after she checks that phone, she goes to the kitchen to start making tea. She puts the tea kettle on the stove and looks over at the fridge and sees the number for where the doctor and his wife are going to be at is on the fridge. And she looks at the time and it says that it's almost 11 o'clock. So, you know, kind of relieved that, you know, they said they would be home around 11:30-ish. Oh, I forgot to show what I was using. I was using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation and the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer Stick. And then I kind of set that contouring stick with Smashbox Contour Palette. Next, I'm going to set my face with the Milk Makeup Blur and Set. So as Julia's trying to get her tea, you know, warm up her water for her tea, there's another knock at the door. So Julia turns off the tea kettle. Okay, she turns it off. It wasn't done. It was only on for a couple seconds, so there's no way it's like ready. Whoops, well, I drop all my stuff. So she goes to the door and says, yes, who's there? The man on the other side starts saying, they didn't come. The auto club, they didn't come. And she's kind of like, you know, shoot. Of course they didn't come because you didn't call because the phone's out. But he doesn't know that. So he asks again if he could come inside and call the auto club. He might have better luck. And she's telling him, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can try to call the auto club again and see what's going on. And he's like, no, I don't want to trouble you. And she's like, no, I'll call. You know, she can't let him in. It's a stranger. And also, the damn phone don't fucking work. So she's kind of, you know, like, I'm sure she's thinking, please let the doctor come home right now so I can, you know, have somebody here. And, you know, I'm sure she's freaking out. So Julia goes back to the phone, still dead, and she pretends again to make a phone call to the auto club. And she goes back to the front door and, you know, she's going to tell the man something and make up a story. She's going to make up a story as to why they're not there. As she's saying, hello, like, are you still there? There's no answer. The man is gone. So I'm sure that worries Julia a lot. I would be worried because, like, where did you go? Freaky. Like, are you I don't know. After that, Julia goes back upstairs to check on the children. They're still in bed, still asleep. Thank goodness, because can you imagine having to deal with the children, being up and running around, and some stranger keeps coming to the door wanting to come in to make a phone call? No bueno. Sorry. That would suck. As she's in the kids' room checking on them, she hears a noise downstairs. It's like a loud whistling noise. What could that be? Next, I'm going to be doing my eyeshadow, and I'm going to be using my Widow Witch Cosmetic palette. For some reason, I don't remember what this one is called, but it's like an Addams Family theme. I'll write it down in the description box what name the palette is, because it doesn't have it written on there, and I can't remember what it's called. So many beautiful colors. I'm not sure really what colors I want to use. So Julia hears a loud whistling noise, so she goes downstairs to check it out. When she goes downstairs, she goes to the kitchen, and it's the tea kettle whistling. The tea kettle is whistling, even though she turned that tea kettle off. Maybe she forgot. She seems kind of like she knew she turned it off, but she's trying not to think of kind of playing it off that maybe she didn't turn it off. I don't know. I would be kind of freaking out if I knew I turned it off and it got turned back on and you didn't turn it back on. Who did? So she starts making her tea. She goes and checks the back sliding door, and it's locked. It's locked, okay? She pulled on it. It is locked. Julia looks at the clock and sees that it's 11:15. Great. They should be back by 11:30. So like 15 minutes to go. So as Julia looks at the clock, sees what time it is, guess what happens? There's a knock at the door. Julia goes walking over to the door and says, I believe she says, like, what do you want now? And the man starts saying, you never called. You never called the auto club. And she's like, what? No, I did call. I don't know what's going on. I did call. There's nothing more I can do. I've done everything I can. Just go away. After she says that, the man kind of, well, I'm sorry to bug you. I'm just stuck here. Do you think you could do me one last favor? Poor Julia is conflicted, like, oh, man. She starts feeling bad that she's kind of, I don't know, assuming that he's a bad person, even though she doesn't know him. So she agrees to do another favor. What's that favor? He's asking her if she can call his wife. Maybe his wife will have a better outcome with the auto club. Poor Julia. She's just too nice. One, the first time there was a door knock, I wouldn't have answered it. If it was a doctor and his wife, they have a key. They wouldn't be knocking. Obviously, it's a stranger. She didn't order pizza. She didn't, they didn't have Uber Eats or, all that stuff. So, obviously, it's somebody she doesn't know. Even if I were to have answered the first time, I definitely probably wouldn't answer again the next time they knock. I wouldn't have said anything the second time. What's he gonna do? Keep knocking? He's eventually gonna go away. You don't have to answer this person, okay? Just saying, I know it's a movie, but these are my own thoughts, okay? Julie agrees to call the man's wife. He tells her the number. She goes over to the phone. Oh, actually, before he gives Julia his wife's number, he asks Julia, do you still have all the information? And she's like, yes, I do. So he starts, telling her the number. As she walks away to the phone, she grabs her notebook, and what do you know? The fucking paper with all that information she wrote is gone. It's not there. She knows she left it there. She knows she didn't rip it out. Like, you can automatically see like the blood leaving her face. What the hell? She flips through all the pages. Where could it be? So she goes back to the door. I'm sure she's freaking out. I know I would. And she tells the man that there was no answer. He's like, really? No answer? Okay. Well, thanks anyways. You did everything that you could do. I would be like, oh, hell no. So Julia goes back again to her notebook, and she is flipping through everything. Where could that paper be? As you're watching this, you know that somebody's been in the house, because there's no logical explanation as to why that paper is missing. So she's done. She decides to turn off the lights, well, whatever lights were on, and to close all the curtains. She starts checking the downstairs rooms, making sure any doors locked. She goes back to the kitchen, make sure that screen door's locked. What do you know? When she pulls on that screen door handle, it's open. It opens. Immediately, you can see, like, panic. It wasn't unlocked. It was locked. She checked on it earlier and it was locked. So Julia's scared. She goes and looks over at the fridge. What do you know on the fridge? The number to the doctor where they're going to be at is gone. So she knows, I need to get the fuck out of here. I need to grab those kids and get the fuck out of here. As she's going to go upstairs, what happens? There's a knock at the door again. And the man outside says, "You don't live here, do you? You're just a babysitter. And have you been upstairs lately?" Which, you hear the music, like, what do you mean? He goes on to say that he's been kind of watching the house and he's been seeing somebody move upstairs throughout the house, and that she needs to get out right away. So she runs upstairs to grab those kids. She opens the door, and what does she see? Those kids are gone. They are out of they're gone. I mean, my heart would explode from panic. You go in the room again and the kids are gone. Julia is, she is scared for her life. So she's just doesn't know what to do. She's kind of in the upstairs hallway, like, okay, do I see anybody up here? I don't see anybody. I'm going to make a run for it. So she makes a run for it downstairs to the front door, and on the floor she sees a trench coat just kind of laying neatly on the ground. And then Julia hears a voice saying,
"Come on out, Julia."
Which freaks her out again, because how does this person know her name? She never told him her name. How does he know? Julia freaks out, closes the door, locks it, and is like, "How do you know my name? Where are you?" And the man's saying, "I'm hiding, Julia. I'm in the bushes." And you kind of hear some bushes rattling, I believe. So Julia locks the door and is yelling, "How do you know my name?" The man says, "I'm in the bushes, Julia. I can see you. I'm hiding." Julia, look into the living room. Julia goes and looks into the living room, and what does she see? She sees a man kind of all blacked out in something. You can't really see his face. You could kind of just see his eyes, and he does this weird thing where he puts his hands out, and his fingers are extremely long looking, and she is freaked out. She's panicked, trying to get that door unlocked. She gets the door unlocked. She runs out. She runs right into the doctor, and she's screaming. And that's when it cuts to 5 years later. You see Julia rocking this awesome mullet. This thing is gnarly. She has this major mullet, and she is now attending college. She lives off campus in an apartment. I believe it's on the 3rd floor, and she has that apartment, I think it's triple locked, because of everything she's been through. She's, paranoid, and she has a good reason to be paranoid. So Julia goes home, starts her normal routine. Is going to go hang up her jacket. When she opens her closet door, she sees that there's a article of clothing that isn't hers. She screams and runs out and heads directly to the police station, and she's in there ranting and raving, about the article of clothing. And the cops kind of are just like calm down, just calm down, everything's okay. They don't understand what she's been through. She has good reason to be freaked out. One, there's no logical explanation as to why that article of clothing is in her possession. So she's calming down, and in comes Jill. She is the counselor or head person of the crisis clinic of the college that Julia attends. So, Jill. Let's talk about Jill. She does have some backstory because Jill is the original character from When a Stranger Calls. Yes, Jill. That Jill. So Jill knows all about Julia's past. She read it on her records, and Jill has been through something similar. So she goes to talk to Julia at the police station, and Julia is kind of giving Jill and the police a rundown of what's been happening to her the past few months. So Julia starts telling Jill and the police that started about 4 months ago that she starts noticing some weird things happening. One instance, there's a book that Julia has, and she keeps it on a certain bookshelf. She keeps it in a certain place on the bookshelf. Well, one day she goes to that book, and it's not in the place that Julia usually keeps it. It was moved. It was still on the bookshelf, but it wasn't where she always keeps it. So Julia is kind of like she's trying not to think nothing of it, but she knows she did not put it there. Then I believe she says 4 weeks ago she woke up to an alarm. Sorry, I can't talk and do this. She says that she woke up to an alarm. It was set for 3 a.m. But Julia claims she did not set that alarm. She goes on to tell the police and Jill that these little things keep happening just to kind of let her know like somebody is there, and to mess with her by doing these little subtle things to her to kind of question herself. But she knows that something's wrong because she lives by herself. It's not like she has roommates or husband, boyfriend, anything like that for those things to happen. So the police unfortunately don't believe Julia because she lives on a 3rd floor building. She triple locks her apartment. So for somebody to come in and out without being noticed and do those little things to her, they don't believe that somebody would go through all that effort just to move her book or send an alarm. But Jill believes her because Jill has been through some shit too. So she believes every word of Julia. So Jill brings Julia back to her house and kind of explains that something similar happened to her when she was young and babysitting. And she asked Julia if it's okay if she brings in an outsider to help figure out what's going on. In comes John. John is also from When a Stranger Calls. He, I believe, was like a police or a detective in that movie too. So him and Jill have a good relationship because, if you want to know, go watch the first one, When a Stranger Calls. It's, like I said, it came out in 1978, 79-ish. So I suggest you go watch that, and then, or not. But if you want to know the kind of backstory between Jill and John, there it is. So John's hearing the story that what happened to Julia, and Julia is saying that, there was 2 men. There was someone she was talking to outside, and then there was somebody that was in the living room. And Jill tells John that the police don't think that there was ever a person or there was never a man outside, because when Julia ran outside, when she saw the man in the living room, the doctor Kane was on the porch, so he didn't see no man outside. So that makes John kind of question that maybe it was only one person. Interesting. Also, it was said that there was a window open in the living room, and it was only open about 6 inches. So that's not very tall, or that's not very high for somebody to crawl in and out. 6 inches. Okay, what I'm using here is my Melt Cosmetics, I think it's called Ultra Matte Eyeliner in the shade 1987. Even though I was born in 86, so I don't know why I said it like that. Anyway, so Jill, John, and Julia go back to Julia's apartment. John takes the article of clothing for it to be tested. Well, that article of clothing is like a child's pajama top, which I'm assuming it's the child that was abducted when Julia was babysitting. So the next night, Julia calls Jill frantic, saying that she heard something. Jill tells her to get up, turn everything on, and check the apartment, make sure it's secure. So Julia gets up and checks the closet, checks the door, checks all around. and tells Jill that everything is locked, everything is closed, there's nobody in there. Then Jill advises Julia to turn off all the lights and tell me what you hear or what you see or anything like that. And Julia tells Jill that she doesn't hear or see anything. There's nothing there, and maybe she just got frightened over something, but she's okay. And she kind of feels bad for waking up Jill, but Jill's like, no, don't worry about that, like, call me if anything bugs you. So they hang up and Julia goes back to sleep. Well, the next morning when Julia wakes, she awakes to her journal being open, and I think something was written in there, and her bedroom window was open, which is crazy because her apartment's triple locked, and her bed is right next to her window, so they would have to be on her bed to open that. And Julia checked the apartment and didn't see anybody, so but the thing is, she only had like one little light on, and she said she couldn't see anything. Anyways, so that's what happens. Julia freaks out, takes her journal to Jill. Jill reads it. You never find out what was written in there. You don't know. You never find out. But after Jill reads it, she asks Julia if she owns a gun. So the next scene cuts to them buying a gun and shooting guns for Julia to have protection. So now Julia has a gun to kind of protect herself. Julia is talking to John and kind of, she's depressed. I would be too. She's isolated. Somebody's after her and she doesn't know why. Why is this person doing this to her? Why? Why her? So you could tell she's really sad. She's kind of talking about just picking up and just leaving, just moving away, trying to start a new life. Maybe they won't find her. Maybe it'll take a long time for them to find her again. Maybe they'll give up. But Julia's just kind of, she's had it. And you can't blame her. The next morning, Jill goes to the crisis center and, she sees that Julia is supposed to be there and she's not. So she asks, has anybody seen Julia? Poor Jill. She starts talking to John, and John's kind of telling Jill that, Julia might have just ran away. She couldn't handle it anymore and just took off to start over again. Jill doesn't really believe that because she doesn't feel like Julia would have just left without saying anything to her. They were really close, and that doesn't seem like Julia to do that to Jill. So next I use my Milk Makeup Kush Mascara. I love this stuff. It's so good. So good. I suggest you try this out if you want a really good, amazing mascara. So as John's talking to Jill, saying, she possibly just took off and ran away, and he also tells Jill that maybe Julia has been, kind of making this up in her own head. Oh, I'm going to use my professional super setter. Set this face. I'm going to put on some lashes and some lipstick, but let me go on with the story. And Jill is not having it. She's telling John that no, somebody is after Jill, and she is not making this up. She doesn't know where she is, but she's gonna find her. So later on in the day, Jill's at her apartment and she gets a knock at the door. Jill knows that some crazy stuff has been going on, so I think she's prepared. She's like, who is it? And she opens the door and it is Julia. Julia is okay, and she is at Jill's. And Jill is really happy that, oh, look what I did. My mascara. How did that happen? Hang on. Let's see if I can fix this. So where's my foundation? Oh, I got it on this side too. So Jill is relieved to see Julia's okay, and she's going to kind of stay with Jill for a while. The next day, Jill and John go to the doctor's house. It's now up for sale, so it's completely empty. They want to kind of sort of recreate that night. That's like detective work or something. So they go in the house. They're talking about what supposedly happened, and John opens the window in the living room about 6 inches, and John tells Jill that somebody can't come in and out with only 6 inches. So he starts telling Jill that, maybe it was only one man, like he already suggested, and that man was somehow throwing his voice to seem he was outside when he was really inside. So Jill's like, what do you mean? And John tells Jill that he believes that they are dealing with a ventriloquist. Ventriloquist. Isn't that like a weird ass word? Ventriloquist. It's just like, the more I say it, the more I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Ventriloquist. How many times in your life would you even ever say ventriloquist? I don't know. It's like a weird ass word to me. Ventriloquist. I don't know. Sorry. So John thinks that they need to search for a ventriloquist. As they're about to leave that doctor's house, sorry, I needed to refuel. So as they're about to leave that doctor's house, a police officer pulls up to let John and Jill know that there's been an accident and Julia shot herself and she's in the hospital. So they rush over there to check on Julia, talk to the doctors, and the doctors are not very hopeful. They assume that she doesn't have a very high chance of living. So John and the doctors feel like, Julia couldn't handle it anymore and she tried to kill herself. And of course Jill's like, no, she did not do this to herself. No, there's no way. And they find out that Julia was back at her house when she shot herself. So they go to Julia's apartment, and you can see the apartment is in disarray, like there was an attack. So for them to just say, oh, she shot herself, is really weird. Her bed's all messed up, there's a lot of blood everywhere, and it looks like there was a struggle. It does not look like she just decided to shoot herself. So where they come off thinking that it was a suicide attempt is beyond me. So John is just like, well, it's done. It's over with, I'm going to head home. I'm going to head back home. And Jill is just like, no, it's not done. You go ahead and leave, but I'm going to find out who this person is and prove that Julia did not try to kill herself. So John, starts kind of feeling bad and goes to the bar and starts thinking like, maybe I should, keep looking into this. And he decides to go to an agency to see where he might find a ventriloquist show around there. So he gets some leads. There's a scene where Jill is at a little market where she is kind of like in an alcohol aisle, and she sees a bottle of vodka. Looks tempting, like she wants to buy a bottle, but she decides not to, and goes on and is shopping. She's really distraught because she's doesn't know what to think. Poor Julia's in the hospital with the shot in her head, and she doesn't know if she's gonna live. So as she's doing up her shopping, she hears a voice saying her name, saying, "Hi, Jill." And Jill automatically realizes that that's the man. That's the guy who is stalking Julia. Okay, let me put these on, because obviously you can't put on some fucking lashes while you're talking. Okay, these lashes are something else. I hope they are picking up good on camera. So the man is saying, "Hello, Jill," and she's just like, who is that? And she looks into her cart and sees that that bottle of vodka is in her cart, and she did not put that in her cart. So she knows, like, oh hell no, that stalker is here. And so she's smart, and she starts running through the aisles trying to look for the man, and runs outside to see, and she doesn't see anybody. And so she's kind of distraught, like, where did he go? Well, in the next scene, you are now at some titty bar where they have the great Landis there to do a show as entertainment at a titty bar, a ventriloquist show at the titty bar. Anyway, so there's a man comes out. He's in like a Michael Myers kind of jumpsuit, and his face is completely blacked out. You see nothing but his big old eyeballs, and he has like his little ventriloquist dummy. I don't know what you're supposed to call those. Are they dummies? I don't know. So, one second, let me put this on. Oof, these are some lashes. These lashes are from, it doesn't say on the carton, but I believe it's from Balm Lashes or Balm Extensions. I got them for, I believe, $2.99 each, and they are amazing for the price. Well worth it for $3. These are crazy and really high quality. So Landis is doing his skit at the titty bar, and it's not a hit. He's kind of insulting people in the crowd and making them like uncomfortable by pointing out certain personal flaws of people, like college students and like a lady that is there with a bunch of men. So like the patrons decide to leave, and the bar owner is like, oh hell no, and goes and rips Landis from the stage and, you know, is tossing his ass out because, no, when my customers are leaving, what the hell is this? Oh, I forgot to mention that his dummy, when he brings his dummy up, his ventriloquist dummy, it's funny because there's no face on this dummy. He has hair and a little suit, but his face it's nothing. It's just like a flat nothing, no face, which is really weird. Anyway, so he gets thrown out, and John finds out that he just got thrown out, and he goes and chases after him, and he's, you know, calling him, asking like, oh, are you Landis? Sorry I missed your show. I want to hire you. And Landis is freaking out and runs away. Well, John goes running after him and turns down this alley and can't find him. You see Landis, you know, because he's all head to toe black and his face is painted black, go to this dark alley wall and close his eyes, and you completely can't see him. So John walks right past him and can't find him, which is really creepy. So I'm assuming that's how he's been messing with Julia. When, if you remember, when her window was open and she called Jill about that weird noise, he could have been hiding in the dark with his face painted all black, his hands were all painted black, everything, and dressed in full black. So that could be how, you know, she didn't see anybody. So, you know, you're not really sure when it happens, but John ends up finding out where Landis has been living and goes there and is told that Landis moved out, that he was there to try to find the mother of his kids, to let the mother know that the children died or something like that. And it was just like a made up story. So John is like, oh, he knows what he's kind of talking about because he did abduct those children, and yeah, it's been 5 years. He totally killed those children. Anyway, so John breaks into Landis's apartment. Well, John is going through Landis's stuff. He notices a bunch of like paints and special effects stuff. So he knows, like, that's weird. You know, he has all this stuff, and he empties out Landis's trash can. Well, in the trash can, there is a bunch of hair and some Polaroid pictures. Some of the Polaroid pictures are of poor Julia, and she is in the hospital bed, and there's a couple of them where he actually took Polaroids of Julia's boobies, which is disgusting. Like, what a fucking pig. You shot her and you're gonna go to the hospital and take pictures of her naked? Like, you fucking creep. Anyways, there's also pictures of inside Jill's house, which is really strange, and it's a particular area of Jill's wall that there are pictures of. So John's looking and he's like, oh shit, I know what this means. So he starts, you know, running out the door. He goes to a phone and is trying to phone Jill to warn her, but of course Jill's phone is out of order, so he can't get a hold of her. So he knows he needs to hurry up and get to her apartment. So Jill arrives in her apartment. You know, she starts putting away some of her groceries, and she looks over onto her kitchen table and sees a milk carton. She knows she didn't leave that milk carton there. Sorry, my hair is a little crazy, but the crazier the better, I think. Look at that. Looks good to me. Anyways, oh, I'm just talking and I didn't put on any lipstick. Let me put on some lipstick. What do I want to wear? Let's see, what do I got? I'm gonna try this one. So let me put this on. You know, I can't talk and put on lipstick, so. Oh, the liner I used was a NYX Cosmetics Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Moonwalk. And now I'm going to be using my Coven Cosmetics, which is from Killstar, in the shade Dusk. It's really pretty, and I really love this formula. It's good. Goes on great, lasts long, doesn't feel drying or anything like that, so I love it. big plumpy lips. So, as I was saying, Jill goes to her apartment and sees that milk carton, and it doesn't belong to her. She looks on the milk carton, and back in the day, they used to have like paper cartons, and they would have faces of missing children saying, "Have you seen me?" or "missing." And it was a carton of those 2 children that were abducted from when Julia was babysitting. And so Jill knows immediately, like, somebody's in her apartment. So she goes to run out her front door, and weirdly enough, the door is stuck, is jammed. She can't get out. So she's like, I need to get my gun. So she gets her gun, and she's checking her apartment, and she hears her name being called. Also, she tries to turn on the lights, and the lights aren't working either. So, crazy. So she's walking around her living room because she keeps hearing the man talk, but she can't see anything. Which you got to remember, he's a ventriloquist. So she thinks she's hearing him talking this way or that way. He's throwing his voice to sound like he's, So she's walking, holding her gun. She can't see, it's dark. She walks past this one part of her wall, which is like a brick looking wall, or it's brick. Anyway, so she walks past, and then all of a sudden, you see these big eyes open, and you're like, oh shit, he painted himself like that wall? Oh fuck. And then it like from there on, you're just like, what the fuck? So next thing that happens, he attacks Jill. He yells something and attacks her. He's like in like this little like G-string because he is painted head to toe. He shaved off all his hair, so he blended perfectly with that wall. It's really good. So he's attacking her. At one point, she has like some moves, and she like drop kicks him or something like that, but he ends up kind of hitting her. Next thing you know, John comes in. He's there to help Jill. Well, so Landis goes back to that part of the wall, and Jill is telling John, where's the gun? Where's my gun? As she says that, she gets shot. She gets kind of blown away. And next thing you know, you see John with his gun, and he starts shooting at the wall because he knows that Landis is painted as that wall because he found those Polaroids in Landis's apartment of Jill's wall. So he starts shooting the wall, and then all of a sudden you see Landis just fall flat on the ground because he's been shot. So Landis is now dead. John saved the day again. What happens next? Well, you see John at the hospital with Jill. Jill is all messed up. She's been shot, but she's still alive, and she's in a hospital room, and John tells Jill that he has a surprise for Jill, and he pulls a curtain, and it's Julia. Julia made it. She survived. She's okay. She's gonna be okay. She's gonna make it. And it kind of just ends like that, like Julia saying Jill's name, and it's done. Julia can now finally live her life without being in constant fear of this stalker man. So unfortunately, there is no backstory. You have no reason. I mean, there's no reason why Landis chose Julia, how he chose Julia. It doesn't seem random because he knew her name already. He knew that she was a babysitter and going to be staying at this house. I don't know, they don't get into that, but I have a lot of questions in my head as to how he picked her and why and how he set everything up. I have a lot of hows and whys and whats, but I'll never find out. You can write in the comments below what you think. What do you think of the movie? Let me know what you're thinking, okay? That concludes our Makeup, Movies, and Monsters episode of When a Stranger Calls Back. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I love this movie. It's a great movie. It is currently available on Amazon Prime Video, so I suggest you go and, watch it. It's a really great movie, and I'm sure you guys will really enjoy it. So I'll be seeing you guys soon. I'm not sure what movie I want to do next. If you want to also write in the comments below a movie you want me to review or watch, or suggestions, I'm open to it. But yeah, I'll be seeing you guys later, and you guys take care, and yeah, bye-bye.